The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
You have to wonder, the writers of this first movie, they're kind of pressing it. Like the first 20 minutes of this movie, I'm like, was this written yesterday? That's crazy.
This has been coming for so long. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
We are
hey,
excited today.
we are excited. And I am Jeff, and you are Jim.
I am. Yes.
And we are TMI.
We are collectively.
Collectively,
TMI.
yes, we are an amalgam. Brave New World, formerly known as New World Order. You wouldn't even know it was a Captain America movie when you watch it.
You think it was a Hulk Hogan movie if they went with New World Order?
NWO.
Yeah.
I didn't even make that connection. No, that would have been nice to see Hulk Hogan in there. Red Hulk and Hulk Hogan.
No, it wouldn't.
No, we could have battled them. The Hulks, Battle of the Hulks. We need more Hulks in this movie.
He proved his cinematic worth with, what was that? The Nanny movie that he was in the 90s?
What? You never watched Tropic in Paradise? What was the?
That was a show. That was
count. The TV show. That right? Are you implying that maybe he didn't?
Or no holds barred.
Well, he was Thunder Lips.
No, that was Rocky.
Rocky 3.
He fought Zeus, otherwise known as Tiny Lister.
Zeus! Wasn't he the robot in Real Steel? We're getting all our movies mixed up. This is what happens. You watch all these movies together, and next thing you know, my brain is fried.
Well, everybody's just like, talk about the damn Marvel movie. Brave New World.
You came here for the Marvel movie? We'll give you the Marvel movie, but we're going to give you more. Because on the back end, we're going to fight some Nazis. Yay. The Rocketeer.
You see, they both fly. They're both heroes.
Yes.
We're so smart.
Is that the only, they fly. I got it. Okay.
And we already did Condor Man, as Jeff
We already did
out.
Condor Man, yes, because that would have been a fun.
Or as that character would say, we already did Condor Man.
So yes, this has been a while coming. We're going to talk a little bit about the theater experience because that's going to be one of my news items.
No.
If you want to, we'll hit some news.
Yes.
And then we'll hit the MCU. Jim, I know you are a huge, or used to be at least, Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan.
Yes.
Apparently she's being resurrected. I don't know if you're okay with this, if you're thrilled with this, but rumors have been swirling for years of a reboot. And apparently Variety and Deadline are now reporting that Hulu is developing a reboot with Eternals director Chloe Zhao.
With legacy characters. So I am excited about
this. This is always the interesting thing because I think Sarah Michelle Gellar, who played Buffy, has gone on numerous times and said that maybe she wasn't interested, but she's dropped on Instagram only in the last couple of days that this has been a 3-year conversation and she is now on board. Speaking with the original executive producer, Gail Berman. And yeah, it sounds like some of the legacy characters. It sounds more like a Force Awakens, where maybe you're going to have a new Vampire Slayer being trained by Buffy.
Well, it's been a while, so I might be rusty on my Buffy.
Oh, busty.
My busty knowledge. I'm not rusty on that, but I am rusty on my Buffy knowledge. I believe when a Slayer dies, that's when a new Slayer is called. So to have two simultaneously, they did stretch those rules in the original show, so I'm sure that they'll have a workaround
Okay.
in this one.
Maybe she's like a force ghost. Are you implying? So over the years, people have told me straight up, you need to watch Buffy. You just need to sit through the horrible first season. And I'm like, why am I going to waste 24 episodes just to get to the good stuff?
Well, you could just read on Wikipedia what happens in the first season and then start directly with, that's what I would do if I was going into it.
Okay. So you're implying that this character was killed off?
No, in the lore, in the show.
Okay.
You can't have a new Slayer unless the old one is killed. And like the mantle moves on.
Okay.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's character didn't die in the first season, but it was established up to that point that her predecessors did in order for the new Slayer to be born.
Okay. Because I know it ran for 7 seasons, ending 2003. So you're talking 20 plus years ago, even though there was an Angel spinoff, right? And that ran for a couple seasons.
I actually, in many ways, preferred the Angel spinoff to
interesting.
Buffy.
Okay. It was the Scooby Gang, right? You had Allison Hannigan and Seth Green and...
Those were the pure episodes of early Buffy when that gang was all together, but the gang got split up when Angel started.
Well, the one thing they should learn from any Scooby-Doo episode is you never split up the gang, because zoinks!
There's a, big monkey in the room. The gorilla in the room.
Joss Whedon? Is that what you're
I haven't seen his name attached to this.
Well, I think he's been kind of negated. I mean, it's Hulu, who is owned by Disney. I don't know who originally produced this show, but does he retain the rights?
Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton, as a matter of fact.
See that. Yes, I did see that. Sand Dollar Productions or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like Lucille Ball's connection with Star Trek. Like you scratch the surface and you're like, yeah, without Lucille Ball, Star Trek wouldn't have happened. You're like, well, without Dolly Parton, Busty Buffy wouldn't have been around. We brought that full circle. Because I know season 8 dropped as a comic book series from Dark Horse.
Yes.
And I think Joss Whedon was still writing that.
He was writing it, yeah. And I actually have that series from Dark Horse. It wasn't bad. Okay. They actually continued Angel in that fashion as well.
Well, you got no budget, right? You can do whatever you want. So I think this is interesting. It looks like they're full speed ahead. I mean, if they can bring back in some of these characters, then why wouldn't you? But I have seen Zendaya's name bounced around as a new Slayer. So but again, back to what you were saying, how can Buffy and this character coexist?
Yeah, well, there was another Slayer. Another Slayer came in because Buffy technically died for a second in the first season and was brought back, thus allowing for this other Slayer to come in.
Hence the loophole you're...
What I'm getting at is it's possible to have another Slayer if they, the writers really think about it. And the guilt that you might feel from going back and watching the old episodes with the knowledge of the showrunner and all the stories that we've heard, hopefully will be wiped clean. This will be a clean slate kind of a show where old fans can embrace it once again without that guilt.
Not being encumbered by
behind the scenes tales.
Right. So, all right. I just thought that was interesting. Everything old is new again. Speaking of which, we have an update on the Godzilla -1 sequel, which I think we've talked about in a previous episode, that after the success of Godzilla -1, they immediately Toho greenlit a sequel, but that was about the extent of it. But apparently Takashi Yamazaki, who was the director, has confirmed that he is actively working on the script and storyboards. So it is firmly in pre-production. We're full steam ahead. And the other thing that Toho has confirmed is that they are giving him a bigger budget. And I'm kind of the mind that, listen, he made a lot with the 15 million. You got your Roger Cormans and your John Carpenters out there saying, give me less money, make me be creative. Let me be resourceful. Don't just throw money at me. And so I'm kind of worried about this, that too much money is going to clog up the artistry of it?
Well,
I'm speculating. I'm wildly speculating at this point. Maybe, that's exactly what he wants.
Well, this is in good hands, obviously.
Yes.
So let's just be happy that Toho, again, didn't throw out the bathwater and like, oh, let's just start again. We had good luck the last two, so let's just start,
No.
brand new movie. So
my concern with this is that Godzilla -1 is a prequel to the original 1954 Godzilla movie.
no, I don't think it is.
No?
This is a whole new timeline. This is a whole new timeline. It has that movie never happened and is not going to happen.
Oh, did we talk about that in the episode?
I don't think we did, but I just don't think it came up.
I got the impression that it was
no
prequel. Okay, all right. Maybe I'm just misremembering my notes. But at the end of that movie, we did get one of the main characters, Noriko, had those strange markings on her neck, setting up a potential storyline down the line of bringing back these characters.
So she is going to fight Godzilla.
Oh, she's going to mutate?
It's going to be like the 50-foot woman.
Oh, geez. Listen, that's where the other money's going to go right there. Into her wardrobe. You know what size bra you're going to have to make for this girl? Busty Buffy.
Right, yep, I can envision Ripley in her, in the big exoskeleton.
Hey, listen, -1 did win an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. So we also, on the back end of that, we have confirmed that we are getting a season 2 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters on Apple Plus.
Oh, yeah. They're just printing money now with these MonsterVerse.
I know. Movies. It's my money. I'm throwing it at them.
Yeah.
Give me more
Again,
monsters.
we often say this, but as kids, if we were told that Godzilla would make billions of dollars at the box office.
The nerds have, in fact, inherited the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are wallowing in it. So my final news item is going to lead us right into our theatrical experiences for Captain America, Brave New World. Senator Martin Looney, and that is his name, Martin Looney, is a Connecticut state lawmaker, and he is proposing a bill that would require movie theaters to post the actual start time of a movie. So we talk all the time about the fact that it says 10:30 start time. You walk in there, you sit down. I'll tell you yesterday, my start time was 10:30, sat down, and I was very aware of the ads that kept running. Now it's 10:45. Oh, now the trailers are starting. Now it is 11 o'clock before my 2-hour movie even commences.
Mr. Looney, you're onto something here.
I don't know if I could. So here's the deal, right? So the bill requires that each movie advertisement or listing include and separately list the scheduled start time for A, the movie trailers and advertisements that precede the advertised or listed movie, and B, the advertised or listed movie. So you could theoretically have 2 start times. I think at this point, if you're savvy and you go to the theater and it says 10:30, you have a 15-minute window. And the nice thing about COVID, the one carryover, is I can walk into my Regal theater and pick my seats before even walking in the theater. If I'm concerned that it's going to be sold out, I can go online and for an additional 50-cent service fee, reserve my seats hours, days ahead of time. I think if someone has the opportunity to skip the ads, I'm not going to show up and sit through these ads, and then advertisers will be like, well, why am I paying all this money? Because I no longer have a captive audience. So then the revenue for ads go down, and then these theaters struggle even more.
But as you said, anybody that has been to a movie, unless you're coming from Mars for the first time and entering a movie theater, you do know that there's going to be ads, especially if you go to a Regal or an AMC.
There are people, though.
So yeah, you
still
have that choice.
Surprised.
You have that choice,
right? I don't know. I just think these theaters are outdated. The amount of money. It was only 10 years ago that they stopped producing film, and everybody had to go digital. I mean, that's a huge cost, to bring in these projectors, especially like my Regal, which is 12 screens plus sound quality. I will tell you, the sound in this theater that I saw the movie in was spectacular.
I would almost say it was punishing, the sound quality, because
I was very happy that
I was thinking to myself, Jeff is probably getting flashbacks to Moon Age Daydream.
that was much.
Because
But
I
again,
came
that
very
was
close to covering my ears there a couple of times during
but again,
during
that
this.
was AMC, and that was an IMAX showing,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, it was.
So that was a completely immersive. I think when you buy a ticket for something like that, you know what you're into. But you're right, it was punishing. It was much. So we'll see how far this gets. I guess at the end of the day, it's a good thing. But you're right. If you go to the theater at all, you know, in this day and age that you're going to have to sit through ads.
Yeah.
And if people are going to start skipping those ads, then you just write back the product placement in movies.
Yeah. And, you know, when you get to the theater, you want to get yourself situated, right? You take your jacket off. You're like, okay, now I'm going to head to the bathroom and come back. And the movie won't be started yet. So I have plenty of time.
Yeah. And, you know, Regal used to have Nuvi, which was this 20-minute kind of like a Entertainment Weekly news with Maria Menounos. And, you know, she'd interview people and they talk about the movie they're in and whatnot, and that's gone. I haven't seen that. It's all just advertisements and that as well. And
I never actually thought I would say I would miss that.
Sorry, did I step on your...
You knew where I was going with that.
Yes.
To transition into our movie talk, let's talk about trailers that we did watch after these ads that we just mentioned. I only got 3. So I didn't have to sit through like 10 as I normally would for a movie of this caliber, right? Only got 3. And of course, the only one I can remember is Fantastic Four.
This is the first time I've seen the Fantastic Four on the big screen. It dropped on YouTube. It dropped streaming a couple weeks ago, this teaser trailer. I'm still not on board with the Thing's voice, but I do like the aesthetics of it. I think it's interesting that, you know, they're clearly, obviously, and especially at the end of this movie, it's banged over our head that we're about to get inundated with other timelines. And this is clearly where the Fantastic Four reside, in an alternative timeline. And
most importantly, they still make Ben Cooper Halloween costumes in this timeline that they reside in.
Well, so it's great because you do get like a little throwaway line from Reed Richards, who's played by Pedro Pascal, that they've had their powers. They've already been established as these superheroes in this world. And like you said, there's a scene where little kids are wearing Thing masks.
If this is an alternate timeline, which we have no reason to believe it's not, because Fantastic Four has never been mentioned in the MCU.
And this aesthetically looks like 1960s New York City.
The logo, everything about this trailer screams.
The cars,
early to mid 1960s.
Did you actually catch at the very end when the title comes up, presented in Fantastivision?
Yes.
And I'm like, ooh, I wonder what that is. Is the screen just going to like stretch?
So there has been some hubbub online about this trailer.
Okay.
People saying that Galactus is too small. He didn't look very small to me.
Because there's that shot of him
looking down on the Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. Well, he's a world eater. So I'm sure if you go into the comic books,
but he's not that big. You know, he's not that big. He's not like planet size in the comic books. They're usually like at his feet. You know, it's like the giant.
Yeah, you've
Jack
seen
and the Beanstalk
on some of the covers, right? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see the movie. Whatever.
Now,
people are nitpicking. You're getting a Galactus. You're getting a effing Galactus that looks like Galactus from the comic books. And
looks like Jack Kirby Galactus.
And people are, not big enough. It's a gift. At least he's not a nebulous cloud.
I couldn't remember. Is Galactus supposed to be a celestial?
Oh, it's a good question.
Seeing as we're going to discuss celestials in this movie?
My initial is no, but that could be wrong. There is I think it's a 2-part story that was in Epic magazine that told the last Galactus story, and I think it gave his origin. They could retrofit it, and I wouldn't care. I don't know. My initial reaction is no, he's not. But someone out there screaming at me right now.
All right, well, that's exciting. So we are
Yep.
definitely going to be all over that when it comes out.
Yes,
Fantastic Four.
correct. Which July? Yeah.
I've already seen the ads where if you watch Brave New World, Fantastic Four, and Thunderbolts, you get extra bonus points, and you're entered to attend a Marvel premiere in a contest for real.
Have you anybody out there ever heard of anybody winning this award? Because we will be seeing all 3 movies, but my no prize got lost in the mail.
Yeah, your no prize.
Yes. Did you get the How to Train Your Dragon live action?
I've seen that many times, but not
there's a teaser. This one is a lot more. The new one I saw yesterday is a lot more, but the animation on the original is pretty spot on. It's like, why?
Why does Disney make live action movies for all of their animated movies now?
Because apparently people poo-poo animation. I don't know.
Yet the characters are still animated. Like, look at this Lilo and Stitch Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah. Well, even like Lion King, the fact that you're calling that a live action, stop yourselves. Thunderbolts, you got the Thunderbolts trailer, I'm assuming?
No.
What?
I only got Fantastic Four. I told you, there's only 3 trailers.
But I would have thought that the one of them would have been Thunderbolts, since it really does kind of tie into this movie, and it will be out in May.
No, didn't get it.
Before Fantastic Four.
Didn't get it. But talk about Thunderbolt Ross we got here.
Thunderbolt Ross. Thaddeus. Thunderbolt Ross.
I like Thunderbolt better than Thaddeus.
Yes. Well, he's trying to
clean up his act.
He's trying to downplay that. He doesn't want that moniker anymore.
Hey, Liv Tyler doesn't talk to him anymore.
Would you? Last we saw him, he was going after her boyfriend. So I clearly did not realize how much homework I was going to have to research going into this movie, because the one thing I will say, they do pick up threads of a couple different movies and TV shows and tie them all together in this.
For whatever reason, they took the most maligned movies and TV shows and picked up those threads.
But isn't that, like, to me, I'm happy with that, because
because they're just not leaving open-ended stuff out there.
Yeah. I mean, who knew that we'd be going back to 2008's Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton? And that when they mentioned Betty, I never in a million years thought that, even when he was on the phone with her, I'm like, oh, it's just someone off camera pretending to be Liv Tyler. No, she shows up.
Yep.
She shows up. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if you didn't watch this, now we've talked about this on the show, and there's a lot of detractors of people who poo-poo and hate the idea that they have to watch multiple properties in order to understand what is going on in this movie. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because that's how comic books used to work. Back in the day, Spider-Man could show up in an X-Men comic and make some mention of him beating up Dr. Octopus, and you literally had an asterisk next to it, leading you to a copy at the bottom of the page that said, hey, Marvel Zombie, want to find out what Spidey's talking about? Go back to issue 432. And that's what they're doing here, without asterisks.
But I think they do a really good job, because I have trouble remembering what happened yesterday, much less what happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
They spoon feed you enough information that you're not lost. Yeah. I mean, this is the 35th movie in the MCU. That's not even counting the TV shows. And like I said, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're bringing back Isaiah Bradley, who was a character that was introduced in that TV show, and he's a major storyline.
Yeah.
And I will say right now, I wanted to see him in costume by the end of this movie. I wanted this guy to be redeemed in the worst way possible, because he has been treated like crap for 30 years, and they treated him pretty dirty in this movie as well.
This guy couldn't catch a break until the last 5 minutes. Anyway.
Right. No, I wanted to see him show up in costume and beat the living crap out of Ross.
Or the leader, at least.
So, which they never call him the leader, right? It's just Samuel Stern. Yeah, I mean, there are transitions between the comic books and the movies, and some of them are not as straight up adaptations of that character. But you bring up this Thaddeus Ross. It literally opens with Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, who we've seen for years, William Hurt playing this character. Unfortunately, we lost him in 2022, and they brought in Harrison Ford. And I think they tried their best to make this character sympathetic, that he is remorseful and trying to kind of turn the page on this personality that people think and know who he is. He's got anger issues. And then it's clearly established that he is, in fact, just a jerk.
Well, getting rid of that mustache is going a long way towards where he wants to be.
So I do
right?
have to ask. So the end credits do give credit. They give a shout out to Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness, who wrote and drew the issue introducing the Red Hulk, who is Thaddeus Ross in the comic books. But did that Hulk have a mustache? Because that would clearly give him away. Well,
that Hulk didn't. It
not on the cover, but I have seen panels where he's got a mustache.
Oh,
it's like it can't. Like, it's one thing when you rip off your clothes and yet your pants still magically stay on, but to just lose a mustache when you mutate.
But that doesn't happen in the movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They got, you do see one little news flash with his mustache on when he's losing his temper. And I was like, all right, at least.
And they even make a joke about it, like I got rid of the mustache to make myself more presentable to the American
But meanwhile,
people.
If I had Harrison Ford up against Sam Elliott, I'd go for that mustache every time. Yeah.
So we assume that Ross defeated Dermot Mulroney's president.
Yeah, which he was the president in
Secret Invasion,
which nobody watched. So,
right.
Well, even to that point, by the end of it, it's established that we now are going to have yet another new president, probably the vice president, but the vice president's never mentioned in this movie at all.
No.
Yeah. So we don't know. Know. They're leaving it open.
But it opens with him winning the presidency, and he's making his victory speech.
Yes. Yeah. And he does reference the blip. He does reference the celestial, which plays in. And this is one of the complaints that people have had, which is 2021's Eternals ended with a giant celestial half out of the earth, just a giant rock statue. And it was a throwaway joke in the She-Hulk TV show.
It's not a joke here. It's not a joke.
It's a huge plot line. It's a major plot line. And I have questions.
Maybe I should have watched Eternals, but I didn't. Again, I saw it when it came out in the theater, but I haven't watched it since.
I've never rewatched it either.
So this celestial, Tiamut is his name. When he came out of the earth, he would have destroyed the earth after he came out?
Earth. Yes. I think it would have. Yeah. The earth, the visual I saw, because I did watch a kind of a recap on YouTube, was that he would have split the earth wide open. But here he's just
you think he was already halfway.
Yeah, he's through the mantle, he's through the crust.
Yeah. So
you would think that the Earth's oceans would have been drained around the hole that he's got, but it doesn't matter. It's a fantastic visual. It's cool. And the one thing I will have to say, and I've said this kind of at the top of the show, which is it really feels like this was written yesterday, because it just changed the name of the celestial island to Greenland, and here we are fighting. You got countries fighting over resources, and this is where it's revealed that it's made entirely of adamantium, or it's got pieces of adamantium.
It made it sound to me like they could mine adamantium from this celestial.
I hope they're not going right from his butt.
Hopefully, I don't think the butts come out yet of the Earth's mantle.
But this thing is gigantic. You would think there'd be enough resources for everyone. All right, you take the head, Japan, you get the right finger. UK, you get the elbow.
Right.
There's enough for everybody. But no, that we literally open, like you said, we get this.
Wakanda, you're not even invited to the. You got vibranium.
They don't want to share their vibranium, although they did, because it's revealed that Captain America's new wings and his helmet are of Wakandan.
Well, that's the one thing I do remember from Falcon Winter Soldier. He got that briefcase at the very end of that show.
Yes. I will say that suit is very cumbersome. It does not look like you can fight well in it. But as you pointed out, all it really takes is for one of those wings to get ripped off, and you're because he has no superpowers. And this is not the running joke, but the fact that Sam didn't take the super serum. So he's just a guy in a suit. And the one thing I will say, the Captain America shield does get kind of downplayed because he has the red wings and he has the flying wings.
Although I really appreciated the shield action that you're getting in the opening action sequence here in this movie.
This is straight up Captain America versus Batrox in that opening
in Winter Soldier. So I was getting that flavor right away, and I was on board with this. I'm like, okay, this is what I wanted from a Captain America movie.
Yeah.
Not, a replay of Winter Soldier, but just that flavor. And I think that's what this movie delivers.
Yes, I agree with you. We talked about this, that this looks like it's more espionage, boots on the ground, and that's exactly how it plays out. I mean, even the opening credits, we don't get the Marvel Fanfare logo. You literally get Marvel Studio Presents in black and white type. It doesn't even say Captain America. It just says Brave New World. You don't get the Captain America moniker until the end of the movie.
Well, most of these movies, to be fair, don't even show the titles until the end of the movie.
No, but again, that Marvel fanfare, that lead up with the logo, and you got all the visuals, like they're downplaying that superhero aspect of it, and it is more Winter Soldier, boots on the ground, espionage, secret society kind of a spy thriller. I was absolutely on board. It was exactly what I wanted out of it.
You get a taste of where Sam has been and what he's been doing in the opening scene, because he's doing he's on a covert operation for the government.
Right.
Just as Steve was at the beginning of Winter Soldier. And he's got to intercept a stolen package. You don't know what it is yet.
The package. Yes.
That some terrorists have taken. They're holing up in like a monastery because they want the buyer that they've stolen this package for is going to meet them in the monastery. Captain America and his new Falcon sidekick are there to intercept the buyer to get the package back. It was stolen from Japan, right. Interestingly enough.
And that is Joaquin Torres is the character, and he was introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So he's a carryover. I did appreciate that his armor does kind of look Boba Fettish. I think maybe in its color scheme.
It is a little bit. Yeah. So now he's the guy in the chair, just like
who is it? Spider-Man's buddy,
Ned.
So yes, you're right. This opening fight sequence is great. We're introduced to Giancarlo Esposito's character, who is Sidewinder, and I definitely wanted to see more of this character.
Oh yeah. He just nailed it in Mandalorian. First of all, he doesn't mess around. This guy, whoever he's playing. No,
there are sequences, especially when later he's in DC and he's trying to take out Sam. It very much Winter Soldier, Bucky vibes going on. The one thing I want to talk about, the director, this Julius Ona, who I am not familiar with. He was born in '83, so he's relatively young. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, no tricky camera work or anything, but I think not Russo level was suitable. I enjoyed it. And then the one thing I did read also, which was this Sidewinder character, was only added after initial shoots.
Really? So they didn't even
they went back and added him, which he seems very integral to this movie. To kind of lead these characters from point A to point B.
All the Cap movies have kind of, since the first one anyway, the first one, you can't really count that because that's an origin story. But all the movies like start out with an initial battle, like of a bad that's not the big bad.
Right, correct.
But,
yeah.
Batroc in Winter Soldier, and then you have, what was the other guy's name in Civil War? At the very beginning when Scarlet Witch like blows him up.
I can't remember the character's name. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
But you're right. This was the Serpent Society, because you have Sidewinder, and then the other character was, I don't know. There was a couple names that were thrown in there.
It's a great action sequence.
Yep.
Cap kicks ass, with the shield. He's flipping it. He's ricocheting it off heads. He's doing everything that you want to see.
Yeah, Red Wing's doing his thing. We got some hostages to save in the monastery.
They save the hostages. They get the package back, but the bad guys get away, unfortunately. But Thunderbolt Ross, who is now President Ross, is so impressed that he invites Cap to this White House function where he's going to reveal adamantium to the rest of the world, and says to Cap, hey, I want you to restart the Avengers.
While reminding him that he is not Steve Rogers.
Right. Of course, everybody does.
Which is yes, there is a speech that Sam gives at the end of this movie, I think was directed squarely at the audience, because there is some backlash. I want Chris Evans. I want the original Captain America. This guy's not Captain America. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's going to happen when Iron Man comes back. We're going to hear the same thing. I want to just go back to that opening fight sequence for 1 second, because when Sam first goes in, he lands superhero style, and he's surrounded by the Serpent Society, and he says, wait for it. And then the sonic boom follows him and blows them all away. And I'm just like, that is such a nice little touch. So he has definitely been upgraded.
Oh, yeah, because that's what the Black Panther suit does. Whenever it's like the kinetic energy gets stored and blows back at whoever gave him a shot or what have you.
Yeah, you would think that they would have updated the shield as well, but I'm assuming that is just straight up vibranium.
Right, well, that's got to be the shield that Cap gave him, right? He can't upgrade that.
No, you're not leave it on the wall somewhere. All right. But yeah, so like you said, he's invited to this big gala where the president basically says, listen, I want you to restart the Avengers. But he brings in Isaiah Bradley, who is in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is a character that we learn was the original Captain America. He was part of an experiment in the 30s, did some dubious deeds, and then the government hid him away, locked him away for 30 years.
And experimented on him for 30 years.
Tuskegee experiment style. We don't even know like what level. So this guy, Sam's like, come with me. And this guy's like, why am I going to go back into the belly of the beast? I want no part of this. I don't want it. No, man, for me, come on, let's go. And so the three of them, Joaquin, Isaiah, and Sam, put on their best Sunday dresses and show up. And it goes sideways real quick.
Yeah. So as Harrison Ford is telling all the gathered various leaders that they found adamantium and they want to divvy it or share it with the other countries of the world, and we're not going to be inclusive like some others out there.
Right. And he's really like, I'm 100 days into my presidency and my entire legacy hinges on this accord. So he's really like, this has got to work. And all of a sudden, I don't know, what was the song?
Mr. Blue was the name of the song.
Which is interesting because I think if you go back to that Incredible Hulk movie, that was the leader's code name online when he was talking.
Yeah,
with
I
Bruce
wouldn't
Banner.
have remembered that, but I just read that on.
I did. I saw it in the thing as well. But so a nice callback in that regard. But yeah, this is like Manchurian Candidate level. How did he get a gun in there?
Well, I assume because he was a guest. He didn't have to go through x-rays or anything like that.
I would think that's exactly what you need to do.
But here's the thing.
This is, you got to protect him.
So, okay. So now we're getting into some Winter Soldier stuff here as well, because you're getting callbacks now to Bucky being brainwashed.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's not code words. It's a song. So when Isaiah hears the song, he goes blank. And then he takes out the gun and tries to kill the president. Yeah. And whenever the president appears in public, he has got like a full body, bulletproof kind of partition.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this presentation where he was surrounded by glass, it's like, these are supposed to be all your friends. And yet, but it's not bulletproof because it shatters immediately. Right. I think it was just a projecting screen.
And Isaiah's not the only one that's brainwashed.
No, this is interesting. There was like 4 or 5. I think there's 5 of them altogether that were activated.
So they all get taken down. And of course, Isaiah's like, I don't know what happened because after
he's on the run. Yeah. And they catch him and immediately he's right back in jail. He's like,
why did you bring me? And he's telling Sam, why did you bring me here?
And Sam's like, why'd you bring a gun? Why?
We're also introduced like during this chase and during this melee to, Ruth Batsaroff. And I heard it as Betsaroff. I'm like, this woman's name is Betsaroff?
It's a weird name. I don't know if there's a comic book counterpart, but I really like this character.
So
She's
she is
about
a
2 foot
former
tall.
Black Widow. She's a former
Yes.
Black Widow. That's all you need to know.
Which is cool because think about this by the end of it. You know, Sam's really like, all right, maybe we do need to get the Avengers back together. And it's like, well, we know that Natasha's gone and Yelena is now part of this Thunderbolts. So this Ruth would be a nice Black Widow addition to a new Avengers.
Yeah.
Potential.
And by the end of this movie, you see that she's got the chops for it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a fun character. She's very her statue is very diminutive.
I'll give this movie credit that almost everybody that's introduced in the beginning, I'm thinking, oh, they're a bad guy. They're going to turn, but it never happens.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because you're let off. I mean, immediately, Sam is telling the president, your inner circle is compromised. Somebody's out for you. How did these people get in? What is going on here? You need to be protected. And we find out pretty quickly that it's all Thaddeus Ross is doing. He's just trying to cover his tracks. And this is where it's interesting because going back to that Incredible Hulk movie, we do see that Stern ends up with gamma-infused blood being dripped on him into his brain, and that's how he mutates. Oh, that's all off screen. We don't see him at the end of that. But apparently Ross has kept him in captivity for years and used his growing brain to help him ascend to the White House with the promise that once I get in, I will let you go. And then 100 days in, he's like, yeah, you know what? Nah, we're going to keep you. So I do have some problems with this because these characters get around to different locations very quickly. Samuel Stearns at one point is at the secret camp Echo One, which is this secret prisoner facility that he's been in for years. And I'm not really sure where they said that was, but it was far enough outside DC.
It was in West Virginia.
Okay. So we go from West Virginia, and then all of a sudden he shows up at a training facility for the Army in Jersey, and then immediately is in Washington, DC.
Well, all he's got to do, apparently, is brainwash somebody, brainwash a pilot, brainwash a limo driver, whatever. So this is glaring plot hole to me. If he's brainwashing everybody,
right?
Why doesn't he just brainwash Captain America?
Good question. He wants vengeance on Ross, and this
brainwash him.
Right, correct.
To do something stupid.
No, I'm just gonna give him pills, and over the course of
this is like the long con. I am patient. Yeah.
You know what the biggest con is? Who made that hat that fits his head? That's a bulbous head. That is one thing I do like, though, because the original leader just has this really eggplant elongated head in the comics. And this is very unsettling. His eyes are green, but one's dilated. He's got like these bubbly brain shapes. And he's not green, but he's sure not Caucasian.
He's like gray. So now his brain has grown, but it's like growing through his skull. So it's like if you've ever
just
seen
like the
Hannibal,
Celestial coming through.
It's if you've ever seen Hannibal, the movie Hannibal, when Ray Liotta has his brain exposed and is still alive.
He's just got the brain, but it's just seething underneath his skull cap.
And I love when he's revealed and Sam is there. Sam's reaction, damn.
Yeah, correct. Yes. I think even Joaquin's like, what the? But we find out that, and there is a throwaway line in one of the movies that Ross had a heart attack. So we find out that, sure enough, his heart was killing him, and it was Stern who kept him alive. But like you said, it's the long con. Well, I'm going to keep you alive, but I'm going to slowly infect you with this. So how did he get these pills all the time? Did they just go back and refill his prescription?
I guess they must have, because he had allowed a lab to be built like adjacent to this guy's prison cell. So he was doing all these experiments for Ross, but I guess at the same time doing this brainwashing stuff on the side. So they only had one guard on this guy in the facility? That's what it looked like.
Well, there is a sequence where Falcon and Captain America sneak into the facility, And they're like, we have 28 seconds. And I'm like, the guards pass like as the doors close. And I'm like, they're like 5 feet away. They didn't see the door close. So you're right. There's some plot holes going on here that I'm willing to overlook a little bit, because again, this is Steve Rogers and Natasha on the run in Winter Soldier. You know, it's exactly what I wanted from this movie. Like I said, there's some weird parallels between what they're doing with Ross and what we're currently dealing with the administration that I was like, wow, this is a little too spot on. I mean, you know, who's the cartoon villain here? Samuel. I wish that they would have just called him the leader, so we don't have to. Our hero's name is Sam, and this guy is Samuel Stearns, and they refer to him as Stearns. And like I said, they try to make Ross as sympathetic as possible. And Harrison Ford is having a banger of a job. He's living it up. I give him full credit to just, you know, as curmudgeon as we say he is, and as we think he is probably in real life, it looks like he's having fun with this.
I can tell that he went total method at the end when he was starting to Hulk out.
Sure.
The director's probably like off camera, hey, what was it like playing Han Solo?
Right. Well, what did George Lucas always tell you? Faster, quicker, faster, quicker.
Can you sign my Han Solo action figure, please, Mr. Ford?
Exactly. What was Chewbacca's home planet name?
He had like a whole lineup of nerds, like with microphones.
This is like the
things.
William Shatner Saturday Night Live skit all over again. Get a life. And I could only assume that he did the motion capture.
Well, yeah, it looked like him.
Yeah, it sure did. And so, well, we skipped the part because Stern ends up infecting 2 pilots. And we have this fantastic aerial battle over the Indian Ocean next to the Celestial as a Japanese fleet is coming in. The American fleet's coming in. Sam and Falcon are flying around trying to defuse the situation. Everyone's shooting at everyone else because they don't know what the hell's going on. Thaddeus is like losing his mind because now he's got Stern in his ear and he's just let it go, man. Just give into your anger, and you see him start to grow, whatever. This was very well done. This was,
but like again, this is like the climax before the climax.
Yes. No, this is a great sequence. This is fantastic.
So, yeah, so there's, like a Top Gun aerial battle going on above the Celestial coming out of the water. And it's all because the leader, Stearns, has brainwashed the 2 American pilots into firing on the Japanese.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm like, well, just brainwash Captain America from wherever you are. If Captain America's trying to stop the pilots from doing whatever they're doing.
I think he thought that maybe they were on the same side, that maybe at the end of the day they were both, because this is the thing, which is I've seen arguments about Superman and, he shouldn't take sides and he should be American. And what happens if he landed in Russia or whatever. And I think Captain America, Sam, is dealing with that, which is, it's the concept of the U.S. It doesn't matter who is in the seat. I'm protecting America. And this is a very personal attack on Ross by Stearns. He wants retribution. And you would think that, like I said, I would, bring back in Isaiah Bradley somehow. They sideline him and put him in solitary confinement because they blame him for shooting, even though they all know that he wasn't in control and that it wasn't him who went after the president. They're like, well, these collateral damage again. And I did want that character to have a little bit more of a redemptive
that would have been
arc.
Fantastic if he showed up to help Sam fight the Red Hulk.
Yes. Yeah. In costume.
Yeah.
They go on and on about his suit that
Sam
he got married in. So he's got it.
But let's get there. Okay, so this aerial battle is great, right? Yep. So I was loving it, but at the same time, I'm thinking I was promised Red Hulk. Where is Red Hulk? Harrison Ford almost turned, but he didn't.
But so this is the tease. This is the nice tease. It's not an Incredible Hulk movie.
It's not telling you what's going to happen, but because of the trailers that Red Hulk is in this.
Yeah.
So they treat it like it's a big twist.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I don't know if they could have gotten away with advertising this movie and not showing the Red Hulk. It would have been nice for me to have that as a surprise, but I understand. You know,
there would have been a lot of confusion at Regal when the Red Hulk popcorn bucket showed
exactly.
up.
Like,
Wait
what?
a minute, what? And someone in the audience, someone in the press galley actually says, "There's a Red Hulk." So that's never really explained why he's red and not green. And this is where I could have done with a Bruce Banner intervention as well,
Or just some
Banner?
exposition.
or a She-Hulk, or even Blonsky.
So from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
knowing the comics, Red Hulk is red because he's so angry he can't control his body temperature.
Okay.
That's what I read. And I buy that with Harrison Ford. This guy is angry, right? So we know he's angry.
And it's nice because it is a build-up.
Yeah.
Like, you say, hey, listen, I'm trying to turn the page here. I know I've got anger issues and I'm taking my meds and I'm good. But even like that flashback where he's got the mustache and he smashes the podium, and you're like, yeah, this is not going to end well.
And they actually do show some establishing shots when he becomes Hulk and he puts his hands down. There's a few close-ups of his feet on the ground and hands like on objects. You can see he's burning whatever he's touching.
Yeah.
He doesn't, when he's crushing Sam's head.
No, correct.
I crush a head. I crush a head. When he crushes Sam's head, he doesn't burn his head, but still, that's
helmet,
why he's supposed to be red.
Okay. Which is fine. That's anger issues, man.
But it's a great fight, and they do spoil it in the trailer, but you're not getting the whole thing. It is a lengthy battle.
If that's what you're going for, if you want to just see the whole, you will come away wanting more. But again, you're getting all the classic. I mean, at one point, he literally, you're talking about the president of the United States decimating White House.
Yeah.
He is just going to town. At one point, he picks up the flag and he's using it as a projectile. I mean, he's flying. I don't think I've seen the Hulk like that since the Ang Lee version where he's flying through the air and he's just pummeling. He's angry. I wish we had gotten that line.
And Harrison Ford, he's going, like, as he's changing, he's going full on Rodney Dangerfield, loosening his collar, loosening his tie.
Oh, no respect. I did like the fact that Harrison Ford has he's gray haired, but he has dark temples. But when he turns into the Hulk, he's got dark hair with gray temples. And I'm like, wait, how did that? And like I said, I have a buddy, John Eckenstern, I grew up with, and we used to read the Hulk comics. And he always said, you know how you just diffuse the Hulk? Just let him stop wearing purple pants. They must have like elastobands on his waist.
Because... the president must have relaxed fit suits for those pants to not totally fly off.
I can tear up my jacket. I can tear up my suit and tie, and those pants are going to stay on every time.
And a really nice effect. I don't know if they've ever done this with the Hulk before. Is you see those bullets deflect off of him, close up.
Sure, yeah, because he's getting pummeled. I mean, they're just going in those helicopters, which I assumed were just drone helicopters. I don't remember seeing pilots. But there's got to be collateral damage. I think they said at the end that people died. So
and also it answers a huge question, is that the Hulk can be cut by vibranium.
Yes. Yeah, he got sliced and diced.
Yeah, because Sam has those those little feather knives that come out of his wings.
Yeah, almost like Archangel in that.
So he's peppering the Hulk with these things, who has to stop and pull him out of his neck and his skin.
It's like, wait 1 second. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
He was doing some pretty good damage to Sam, though.
Of course,
like you said, he got the wing ripped off him. But
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the kinetic energy not working when the Hulk would punch Sam on the suit?
Oh, you mean on the suit? Yeah,
because
that's a good
question, one point, Sam is like, "What happened?" I think he actually says, "What happened?" when he was waiting for that reverberation to come out of the suit, and it didn't.
Right.
Maybe the Hulk was just too much.
Just beat it out of him. Yeah. So yeah, it's a nice little fight sequence at the end, and finally he's like, "Hey, man, just look around you. It's cherry blossoms, baby."
He used to bring his daughter to see the cherry blossoms when she was a little girl.
This is where they're softening this character, which is he's been estranged from Betty since basically chasing Bruce Banner, and he just wants to reconnect with her. And you do get that phone call where she does pick up. And like I said, you're like, oh, it's just someone pretending to be Betty Ross. But no, at the end, he's incarcerated. He put himself in a raft and she comes to visit.
But it was a nice, like when Sam is getting his head crushed by the Hulk. And then, to get out of it, he kicks that one knife that's still in the Hulk's side, like deeper
Further
into it. Yeah, that was a nice touch. And I love that slash across the back he does with the tips of his wings.
Oh, with the wings when he comes over him. Yeah, no, choreography on this was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
There was some really nice fight sequences.
And there's a really great shot when the Hulk is pounding through those cherry blossoms from above.
Yes.
Like a King Kong shot of something moving through the trees and everything going haywire. I think, from what I've been reading, all the complaints, the CGI is crap these days with Marvel. I think this is pretty solid.
We're spoiled. Go back 10 years. Go back 20 years when it was Lou Ferrigno painted green. And we were like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a character that's 12 foot tall.
But as much as we're saying, Isaiah would have been nice to come in and help Sam, it is important that Sam wins on his own, that he doesn't have any assistance without the serum.
No, I think that would have helped him establish the fact that I do need to build the Avengers back up. I mean, this is just one guy. What happens? He makes him. How many alien invasions did Steve stop? 2. He's like, how do I live up to that? Oh, that's the other thing too, is that so Joaquin ends up in surgery because he gets manhandled when they're in fighting over the Indian Ocean, and we get a Bucky cameo, and I'm like, is that JD Vance? Like, he looks just like him. I'm like, but is this the first time that we're hearing that James Buchanan Barnes is running for Congress?
Yeah, I was like, did I miss something at the end of Winter Soldier? Because I don't remember this. And apparently, this is new information.
But he's a main character in Thunderbolts. So I'm curious how that's going to play out.
I don't know. Maybe he's the guy in the chair in Washington for the Thunderbolts.
No, he's front and center. There is a scene in the trailer where you see that he's washing his arm in the dishwasher.
Oh, really?
So he pulls it out of the dishwasher. All right, that's kind of cool. So Sam gives this speech at the end, which again I think is directed mainly at the audience, people who have an issue with Sam being called Captain America. I am who I am, and I'm not who you want me to be. I am my own guy, and that's clearly a lot of the backlash with bring back Steve Rogers, which just tells you how the goodwill that Chris Evans has gotten for this role or given for this role. We just talk about like legacy characters in Buffy. It's like you can't have these guys being 70 years old running around. Harrison Ford shows his age. I mean, when he de-escalates and turns back from the Hulk, like you're like, he looks like a frail old man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He could only do 3 miles on the bike. He's like, yeah, tell my physician I did 5. She's like, 3.5. Yeah. He's like, 5. All right, stop getting angry. Give me that man a Snickers bar.
So he ends up in the raft at the end, at the very end.
Which is a nice callback. Again, all these little things that have shown up in some of these other TV shows and movies are all at least getting tied back together. It is a cohesive universe. I so appreciated the celestial islands, the whole idea that this thing just magically shows up in the Indian Ocean. You would think that like India would be able to claim it. I don't know how sovereignty is as far as like But
interestingly, the Eternals are never mentioned in this.
Well, that's probably a good thing. Well, you wonder though, does the public at large know about them?
And how many of these people are Skrulls?
That is true.
Yeah,
they're still out there.
They're still out there.
Yeah, it could be a Skrull. You wouldn't even know it.
No.
There's only one end sequence at the very end credit that I don't think we needed.
No, it's anybody who knows anything about where these movies are going. This is nothing new. Nothing.
No, this is where I would have liked a Bruce Banner or a She-Hulk or some Thunderbolt sitting around watching the TV going, well, at least we don't have to deal with that.
So
something. This is such a throwaway thing for the uninitiated audience to be like, oh, things are going to happen. People are going to come. And it's like, yeah, we know because you just introduced adamantium. We're not idiots, but apparently we got to get it's superfluous. It was a waste of my time.
Sam goes back to the raft, I don't know, to gloat over the leader being in jail. It would have been nice if he was right in the next cell to Harrison Ford.
Yeah, sure. Haha.
And so the leader, Stearns, says that I've seen the probabilities. What are you going to do when the others come? So because he's so smart, he didn't actually see any proof. He just thought that the probability that there's other villains or other...
Right. He's not like Doctor Strange, who's seen the future 2,000 times.
The odds are
mathematically.
There's other realities out there.
How about you give me lottery numbers?
I ever wonder, like, if he's trying to compute the odds of him getting lucky with Pamela Anderson as well, or somebody of that ilk, right?
Yeah, that ilk.
But that's all it is. There's somebody coming. Doesn't even say who.
That's like the stupid worm at the end of Flash. Or was that Shazam?
It was Shazam.
Shazam, whatever. I don't know what people were expecting out of this, but I did enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was great. Yeah. Again, Winter Soldier is top 3 of my Marvel movies.
Yeah, no, and it was a 5 bucket. And you want something? Check this out.
And this was a welcome return to that style.
Captain America Winter Soldier was episode 69. That's how long ago we covered it.
And Anthony Mackie, fantastic.
Yep, I liked him a lot.
You can get right behind this guy, and he carries this movie, and I was invested throughout. Yeah, I did not miss Chris Evans once during this.
It's a different character.
Yeah.
It's a completely different character. And yeah, he spends the entire movie going underneath it, even the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the entire movie. I'm living under Steve Rogers' shadow. Can't I just be my own person? Just maybe give you a different name then. I don't know. But yeah, even this Danny Ramirez who plays Joaquin, the Falcon, I liked him a lot. Again, I wish we could have got more Isaiah Bradley. Because I feel like I don't know where they'd go with this character after this. Like this was his opportunity to kind of shine. And Giancarlo Esposito, even though he's incarcerated by the end of it, we feel like maybe that's not the last of him either.
Well, he takes an awesome mule kick on the top of that car in that one sequence. A lot of people online have been, I didn't look at it until after I saw it.
Yeah, I tend
lots of negativity about this. It actually only got a B- cinema score. I'm like, what?
Really?
Yeah. Why? This is
again.
Great.
I don't know what people's expectations are. Go see it for yourself.
The only issue I had with it was the whole brainwashing thing that I've already brought up. But I'm like, if you can believe that the Hulk's pants are still on after he turns back, then I can let that slide.
That's every Hulk movie, right?
I'm going to give this 4 buckets out of 5.
I'm going to match you. Exactly. 4 buckets. Not Winter Soldier level. That's a 5 bucket out of 5.
Yeah.
But this is solid entry. I was happy with it. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with the Thunderbolts, especially because we kind of already got the flavor of Suicide Squad in the DC, the kind of like the unsung heroes that are being put together because they're probably expendable and we just need them a means to an end kind of a thing. But, and again, that's a mishmash of characters from different TV shows and movies. So no, I like this a lot.
I just hope that this does well, because it deserves to. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
But so what I'm reading is that they cut the budget on this in comparison to like a Marvel's, which was around $300 million to make. This was a more modest $180 million to make. It did make 40 back on Valentine's Day on Friday. Okay. So I don't know what it's going to make because when we're recording this is its opening weekend. So they're projecting that it makes 90 during the 4-day President's Day weekend. If it does do that, then that means it is well on its way to making its money back. And I would like to see Sam again sooner than later. It would be great if he was in Thunderbolts. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it would be great.
Well, I mean, we know that Avengers Secret Wars, and Doomsday are coming. So the idea that, I mean, by the end of this movie, he says, yeah, maybe I do need to rebuild the Avengers.
Yeah.
So we have not seen the last of him.
No.
What we do need to see is Shang-Chi again, because he's been MIA.
Yeah, like everybody has like kind of been a one and done since Endgame, you know? So back in the day, you were trying to build up your Thor, your Captain America. Every other year you'd have a movie. But now it's taken like a decade to get second movies off the ground.
That's, lightning in a bottle, the way that all fell together. And of course, everyone wants another Endgame. You want a culmination. So there's a lot of good here, and especially because it is cherry picking some of the stuff from the different movies and TV shows, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
So there you go. 4 buckets from both of us.
Go see it.
Yeah, and then let us know what you think. Tell us we're wrong. Go ahead, I dare you.
Did you get yourself a redhulk popcorn bucket?
No, I want no part. I'm trying to streamline my life. I cannot keep coming home with tchotchkes.
Yeah.
I've talked myself, like I'll buy a t-shirt or something, but as far as something that's going to sit around and collect dust, I've really kind of downplayed that. So,
right. Yes.
Yeah. Why did you get one?
I did not.
Okay.
But I was curious as to what you're bringing to the concession stand. If you did not get a popcorn bucket.
No. So here's the problem, which I got, we're talking a little wartime jingoistic American rah-rah leading into some fighting Nazis on the back end. So I'm like, oh, red, white, and blue. I'm going to go bomb pops. So I started doing all my research on bomb pops and the firecrackers and all the lawsuits that came in them. And lo and behold, I just happened to go on our list of things that we've already talked about. And apparently we've already talked about it.
We did that on Oppenheimer.
Yes, you are correct. Yeah. Your memory is better than me. So anyways, I had to abandon that. I was very upset because I was all in, and it tied in great with the 2 movies. So I just said, screw it. So in a way, I guess I did kind of tie it into the redhulk popcorn bucket, because currently you can get this treat in your popcorn at my Regal Theater. I'm going to go Cheetos Crunch.
Oh.
So anybody who doesn't know, they are crunchy corn cheese puff snacks. And
are these red hot, or is that just a variety?
So there's flaming hot. There's a variety of flavors depending on what country you're in. So we're going to cover that a little bit. And I apologize because I did not. I might be a little all over the place on this. I usually try to get my notes a little more organized. But the first Cheetos product was invented in 1948 by a Charles Elmer Doolin of San Antonio, Texas. And apparently these sold like super quick. These were like right out of the gate, like big sellers, to the point where Doolin did not have the production or distribution capacity to support a nationwide launch. So he ended up partnering with potato chip businessman Herman W. Lay for the marketing and distribution. And because of the success of Cheetos, the 2 companies actually merged. So the Frito Company and H.W. Lay in 1961 formed what we now know as Frito-Lay. Crazy. What I did know, believe it or not, is that the Crunchy Cheetos was their sole product for 23 years. Cheeto Puffs were not introduced until 1971. If you had put my feet to the fire, I would have said it was the other way around.
Yes.
I feel like Cheeto Puffs have always been around.
The Crunchy Cheeto was a new innovation.
Yes,
right? But
no, the complete opposite. Complete opposite. So this Frito-Lay company manufactured and distributed Cheetos, Cheeto Crunch, and Cheeto Puffs. But in 1965, they became a subsidiary of the PepsiCo company. So Pepsi now currently owns them. And if you want to know how they are made, Cheetos are manufactured by blending corn and water. Those are 2 key ingredients. The germ of the corn is removed to prevent spoiling, and then the germless corn is ground into cornmeal. Because the cornmeal lacks the nutrients provided by the germs, it is enriched by adding nutrients in order to increase its nutritional value. So they take away nutrients just to add nutrients? Seems a little counterproductive, but...
How does it puff?
So the mixture is heated under pressure and then extruded through a die. So it's actually, they make them into these shapes, and then the texture of the snack is formed as a result of contact with hot air, causing steam in the mixture to expand and create its characteristic texture. And then it's fried. And then it's tumbled with desired flavor components. So the cheese flavor is added afterwards. And this is huge because, as we will talk about, they go to different countries, and different countries have different flavors. So as of 2010, Frito-Lay has 14 fried Cheetos plants in 11 states throughout the United States. So that's a lot of plants making Cheetos.
Wow.
Yes.
So I would assume that the crunchy variety is a better seller than your standard.
I don't know if I necessarily have numbers on. It is still it's a high seller. But I want to talk before we get into like the pop culture influences or whatever, and we're going to talk about some of the flavors from other countries. I'm going to talk about their mascot. Before the one you're going to mention, there was a Cheetos mouse, which debuted in 1971, and he spoke with an upper class accent and typically wore a three-piece suit. He used the slogans, Cheetos, cheese that goes crunch. And several years later, Hail Cheesar. And then they said, screw them. And he was phased out in 79. But in 1986, Chester Cheetah, who we all know and love to this day, was introduced. And he was added not only to the packaging, but to the advertising. And his slogans started with the cheese that goes crunch. And it ain't easy being cheesy. From 1986 to 97. And now currently it's dangerously cheesy. He tends to do like bad things in those ads. Like people... He makes people.
And doesn't it? If you look closely at him, he's got like male genitalia hidden in his.
Oh no! Oh no! I did not see that in my research.
That's the Camel from.
That's the Joe Camel.
That's Joe Camel. Yeah.
Well, that's very obvious when you notice it. So Cheetos were not the first snack food of its kind. Elmer's Cheewies were created in 1933. But newer competing products in the snack food category have since emerged, including Utz Cheese Curls, Hers Cheese Curls, and Wise Cheese Doodles, along with Planters Cheese Puffs and Cheese Curls. Mm-hmm. But as of 2010, Cheetos remains at the top-selling cheese puff in America.
So they were the first. They were the
first. And like I said, the fact that the puff came much later than...
Yeah, and there's so many generic varieties of the cheese puff that you can get.
Yeah, it's kind of like Kleenex, right? Like you just see them like, oh, I want cheese puffs. It's like, oh, no, those are cheese curls. Those are cheese doodles, whatever. In 2017, a Frito-Lay announced the opening of the Spotted Cheetah pop-up restaurant in New York City. Oh. And there was dishes made with Cheetos with Chef Ann Burrell. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the restaurant's reservation spots quickly sold out. I wish I'd known about that. That would have been just, I guess.
Are they still there?
I don't think so, no.
No.
It was just a pop-up restaurant.
That's the hence.
I'm sure, if anything, the pandemic probably killed that. And in 1994, Cheetos became the first American brand of snack food to be made and distributed in China.
Yeah, let's talk about some of these other flavors.
Yeah, so Frito-Lay conducted extensive testing before selling on flavors for the Chinese market. Are you ready for this? Ranch dressing.
Okay.
Which is fine. North Sea crab. Smoked octopus. And caramel. Those were all passed up. But my kids are into like these little Japanese snacks. And there are like seaweed flavored and octopus ink and all, like, there's some wacky crap out there. But the two that, their biggest sellers, savory American cream and zesty Japanese steak. Those are two flavors of cheese crunch.
What's zesty American cream? Like cream cheese?
I'm sorry, Sassy. Savory American cream. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if it's cream cheese, if it's sour cream, like sour cream and
would
onion,
make sense.
sour cream and onion. Maybe
That would make sense. Yeah.
Okay. In Japan, there is a strawberry Cheetos. So it's a plain corn Cheeto coated in strawberry icing, released in 2008. In 2013, Pepsi flavored Cheeto and a Mountain Dew flavored.
Ooh.
It was available in 2014. I'm like, wow, they're just throwing everything and anything at this stuff. They're like, yeah, whatever. This is in 2015.
I can't even imagine another flavor other than cheese. I can't. It's like trying to think of a new color. I cannot.
I think it would be fun because I love the texture. I love the texture of these things. I'm a huge fan of them, and they're getting ridiculously pricey. But I actually found something that says, why are Cheetos Crunch so addictive? Research suggests that Cheetos may have addictive properties due to their high salt, fat, and carbohydrate content. These ingredients activate the reward centers in the brain, leading to a craving for more. It's like chapstick with a drying agent. So the more you use it, the more you want it. Yeah, Correct. This is like Manchurian Candidate level crap right here, though. Yeah. So in 2020, Frito-Lay's began distributing my personal favorite, Cheetos popcorn. Unfortunately, just as the pandemic hit. So 2020, and sales were sluggish. So you can still get this now, but you can't buy it as a bucket. You can only get it as a small order of popcorn, and it's the same price as a big bucket of popcorn. So I tend not to buy it, but what's going to stop me from buying a bag of Cheetos and then pouring it into my popcorn after the fact?
Do they have a vat of Cheetos popcorn next to the normal one?
For the longest time, there were just individual like little bags that you would buy. So must be they mix it in the back and then just made them into a little. Now, when I go into my Regal, right there at the counter, the concession stand, there is a freestanding popcorn bin that has Cheetos flavored popcorn in them. So
once your movie is over, your face is covered in orange powder.
Oh, your hands are covered in it.
You've got handprints on your shirt.
You try and use those napkins and it's not going. And the bag is a deal breaker for me because I put butter in it, so it's just going to seep right through.
Yeah.
In 2015, Frito-Lay's did release a limited edition cinnamon sugar flavored snack called Sweetos.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I think that, again, limited edition, so I don't think you can get those anymore. But in 2020, they also introduced Cheetos mac and cheese, which you can still buy. Ooh. So if you like Kraft mac and cheese, the crappier mac and cheese, like the generic grocery store brand, I'm all over it. But yes, you can get Cheetos. And then my final fun fact, in the late 2000s, because you had just mentioned this, there was a gentleman by the name of Richard Montanez who started his career at Frito-Lay's as a plant janitor and later became a marketing director for the company, claimed that he had invented flaming hot Cheetos in the early 90s while still a janitor. Observing that the brand did not have any products targeting Latinos. And I brought this to the table probably in the last year. There was a movie on Hulu called Flaming Hot, directed by Ava Longoria, that chronicles this story. Frito-Lay's disputes it. They said that this is not true at all, but it is the story of this janitor who locks into this idea of flaming hot Cheetos, and he does become an exec. They say he was not responsible for coming up with that product, but it's a fun movie, and whether it's true or not, I don't know. But yeah, they are like number 2 seller outside of the regular Crunch.
Flamin' Hot. Nice tie-in there with Redhulk.
Ooh, yeah, you'll burn when you get touched.
Yeah.
Especially if you rub your eyes. Don't do that. So that's my Cheetos, my Cheeto Crunch.
All right. So hopefully we don't upset our fellow moviegoers going back into the theater with a bag of this Cheeto Crunch, but we are going back in time as well as going back to the theater, to the dawn of the 90s, 1991.
It doesn't seem that long ago, and yet there it is.
Now,
It was 30 years ago.
we talked a little bit about this at the very tail end of the last episode here, but this was before we had the MCU. We had Batman
Yep,
with
89.
Tim Burton's Batman, but that was about it in 1991. So we had a clutch, not a plethora, maybe a clutch is a better word,
A smattering.
of non-DC, non-Marvel superhero movies. Maybe because, Marvel still had rights all tied up at that time.
Sure.
DC was taken. So all these studios were clamoring for some of that Batman cash. So I think the first one out of the gate was Dick Tracy, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I think that was 90.
90, yeah.
Yeah, which is actually pretty solid. And when we get into it, there's a character in here that looks like he came right out of a Dick Tracy movie.
Yeah, so I wanted to look this up because I saw in the credits that Rick Baker did the makeup for this character in The Rocketeer. Yeah. So I'm wondering if he also did Dick Tracy as well.
Oh, that's a good question. We may have to cover that at some point just for the comic novelty of it all.
So after Dick Tracy, a year later, 91, The Rocketeer is released by Disney. So first of all, I never have seen this, period.
What?
Ever. For whatever reason, I had no interest when this came out. Maybe because it looked too milquetoasty,
easy.
It looked too bland.
Well, he doesn't have superpowers. He's got a cool ass helmet and a backpack.
But the surprise here to me, and I'm probably assumed this when it first came out in 1991, that this was like a Flash Gordon era superhero that somebody dredged up from the 1930s or what have you. It's not the case.
No.
It is a period piece, but it was created in 1982. So that was my first shock. And awe.
Dave Stevens.
So, and this was based on a comic book from the 80s.
Yes.
Not a Marvel, not a DC, obviously.
Nope. No, Dave Stevens. I actually have. I think it was. I have the book. It was a backup feature in one of the Pacific Comico comics. So can't think of the name of the book. So Dave Stevens. Again, this is a gentleman I've talked about. There's a documentary out there called "Drawn to Perfection" that chronicles his rise as an artist and really kind of has fueled a reinterest in his works because he did pass away very young age. But yeah, this is his creation. And it is a throwback to like those 30s serials, the Republic serials of the day that probably, stuff that George Lucas would have watched as a kid growing up.
Fantastic design of this.
Yeah, this helmet is iconic as all get out.
It's funny. Fantastic. Alan Arkin's character says at one point, "You look like a hood ornament."
A hood ornament.
But it would be like the coolest hood ornament that you could possibly
imagine. I can't imagine he's got peripheral vision in this thing, but whatever. He is a bit like Greatest American Hero in the sense that he doesn't really know what he's doing because this is found technology that he's just strapping on and off he goes.
So this is like a reimagined history almost, in the vein of Inglourious Basterds, because we have Howard Hughes in this as a character.
This is fantastic. This is Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah.
Locke from Lost. Well, I mean, he's a very famous character actor, but
the stepfather.
In the comics, it is actually not Howard Hughes who creates this backpack. It is, in fact, what's his name? The Doc Savage. But they couldn't get the rights to that character from the comics.
Oh, okay.
So they just rebranded it with Howard Hughes. And he's a fun character. He's a great character.
So, yeah, this is a very lighthearted, early superhero kind of period piece of this down-on-his-luck pilot and his mechanic that do, small-time aerial shows.
Yeah, he's a little too full of himself, this kid.
For, I guess, aviation buffs, this is probably a must-see just because of the old school planes that they show in
Yeah,
here.
no, actually, I think one of the prop planes, the BG, which I think was an invention by Howard Hughes, hangs in, I think it's a museum of natural history or the Smithsonian somewhere. Some of the special effects, especially the flying, look a little dated, but all these flying sequences with the airplanes have got to be real.
This one particular plane, what is his name? Cliff's character is flying, like the show plane that they use, is this tiny little, if you're claustrophobic,
Yes.
there's no way I wouldn't even want to sit in this thing, much less be in the air.
No,
In
it
it.
looks
But
like
it looks like you can't move.
no, it looks like it's wrapped around him.
Like
Yeah.
the cockpit is just as big as his head. It's terrible. I was sweating just watching this sequence.
And again, the camera on the front of the plane as he's flying, it looks like he's flying. There might be someone behind him hidden,
Right.
really flying the plane. But yeah, he's up in the air. He's going all full Tom Cruise on you.
I don't know if it was a show, if they were just, practicing in the plane, but there's like this cops and robbers kind of chase going on at the same time,
Yes.
where the feds are chasing this getaway car, and they've got, just like the beginning of Brave New World, they've got a package that they've stolen, and the feds are trying to get it back, and they kind of drive into this, interrupting this flight show.
Right.
Explosions ensue, confusion ensues. Meanwhile, the package that the feds are trying to get back is hidden in one of the hangars.
Yeah.
And that's where Cliff finds it. And what it is, it's a jetpack built by Howard Hughes himself, Terry O'Quinn.
Terry O'Quinn. So Billy Campbell plays Cliff, and you would have thought after this that he would have gone on to more lead roles, because I think he's pretty affable, and I think he got the role because he actually went and got his haircut to look like the character in the comic book. What we also get is Jennifer Connelly in between her Goblin King and the Incredible Hulk phase as Jenny, but Jenny in the comic books is Betty Page. So Betty Page is a very famous 30s pinup model who Dave Stevens actually became friends with later on in her life. And he used her likeness, but she refused to allow them to use it for the movie.
Oh,
Betty Page
okay.
famously had that.
So she was literally Betty Page in the comics?
Yeah, she looks just like Betty Page from the pinups. She's got the hair that cuts straight across, the bangs with the black, like she looked like Betty Page.
And she was a naked model in the comics, was she not, that character?
There are some salacious, Dave Stevens is notorious for a lot of his very revealing pinup girl artwork.
So obviously this was changed in this movie. So
yes. Yeah, no, Jennifer Connelly is much more clothed. Let's put it that way.
As much as she can be,
Yes. Yeah, well, she was pretty young then too, so
she's
creepy Timothy Dalton
stretching against the constraints of some of these outfits.
Well, listen, it was the times, the 1930s. As long as you didn't see her ankle, we're good. Yeah, but as you mentioned, Alan Arkin plays Peavy, who is like crazy old Maurice in Beauty and the Beast. He's like the mad scientist that if you can't fix it, I'll slap a piece of gum on it, and that's like a running joke in the movie, which is. They just take a piece of gum, it's like good luck. And I guess pilots back in the day, it was like a good luck charm. They take it off and stick it on their tail wing.
It's Cliff and Peavy that find this hidden package that this criminal, who just had enough time after he drove his car into the hangar, I guess, to hide this in one of their planes. The feds, they do a sweep. They can't find it, but Cliff finds it. So they're like, "Ooh, what's this?" So he hits the button and the jetpack shoots off. They get the idea, hey, maybe we can exploit this for our show. Yeah. They do a couple of, humorous tests where they steal a statue and put the jetpack on it.
Right.
Yep.
the head does not survive. And he says, I think I'm going to need a helmet. Yeah. They saw off the statue and slapped the backpack onto it.
So it's Peavy that makes him the helmet, right?
Yeah. Yes.
They don't really have any lofty goals in mind when they find this backpack, other than to make a buck,
Yeah, they found a toy. They're showmen. Cliff's, like I said, Cliff's a little full of himself because he goes out to dinner with Jenny, and he's giving her crap that, she wants to act and do important things when she should be sitting on the sidelines watching him fly these planes and fawning over him.
Yeah, I mean, she's not having any of that. She's,
She's
an extra with this Errol Flynn level actor.
Yeah. So Timothy Dalton is a fantastic evil guy. And all I kept thinking was that scene in Hot Fuzz where he ends up shish kebabs.
Oh, where he's
fence.
impaled through his
jaw at the end of the movie. And I'm just like, oh. But yeah, he is Errol Flynn, for lack of a better term, but he is a piece of crap.
But he is just chewing up scenery here. Now, Timothy Dalton, it should be said, this is in the heyday of his James Bond era.
So that's interesting that he went for this.
This is, only 2 years removed from his second James Bond movie, License to Kill. Pierce Brosnan hadn't taken over the role yet. So I think, in the public eye, he was still James Bond when this movie came out.
Yeah, sure. Even though he had that cheesy mustache, he's like, all right.
And of course, when he's actually on the film set with that curly wig, he looked a little like Leaping Lanny Poffo from the WWF.
He stabbed the guy. He literally stabbed the guy on set. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, because he was distracted, right? By what's her name, whom he gets fired. But then when he realizes that she's the girlfriend of the guy that they suspect has our jetpack.
Yeah, because you realize pretty quickly that, he's part of the guys that were trying to steal this damn jetpack.
Yeah, he's trying to steal the jetpack from Howard Hughes because it's revealed, big reveal, decades-old spoiler, he's a Nazi. He's a Nazi. Not only is he a sympathizer, but he's actually German. So when he speaks in his real voice, it's like Artie Feldman from Laugh-In. I will take the jetpack.
Okay, it's a little much. Yes.
It's not a little much because that's how he talks at the end of this movie.
I know. But let's talk about this other character that you mentioned, this Lothar, which I thought his name was Igor. But he's this big, huge, lumbering thug that has what can only be described as like a giant rubber face.
It's Prune Face from
He looks just like a Dick Tracy villain. And apparently this makeup is an homage to an actor in the 30s called Rondo Hatton, who famously had that giant jutting jaw. So that's what they were going for. But yeah, Rick Baker out there making this prosthetic rubber face.
So as all these different parties, the feds are looking for the jetpack, and the feds led by Ed Lauter, who is the scumbag dad from Cujo, which we just watched last week. We just saw him get his throat ripped out by a rabid Saint Bernard, and here he's kind of a good guy. He's a jerk, but he's still on the good side. Yeah. The feds are looking for this backpack. Timothy Dalton's Nazi is looking for this backpack. Paul Sorvino, who Timothy Dalton hires, is looking for the jetpack. Who has it but Cliff? And he's kind of becoming an accidental superhero because he's doing heroic things, not by design.
No, not by
happens.
Design at all. Just happenstance.
So then he realizes as the movie's going on that, maybe I can do good in this thing. I'm just going to keep it for a couple of more days before we give it back to the feds because I need to protect Jenny from this scumbag Lothario.
But yeah, you're right. There's a sequence where Malcolm the Clown is out flying the plane and does he pass out or I'm trying to remember now what happened to him, but Cliff throws on the helmet and goes up there to try and save him. Eddie's screaming at the crowd, "Don't worry, it's all part of the show," because he's seeing dollars. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna make $1 million on this." It's like when Dumbo first started flying.
We needed that character in Nope, like when the UFO comes down.
Yeah, right. Don't worry, folks, all part of the show. But there's this great scene where he pulls up when he's flying, and he pulls up next to this commuter plane. And he kind of waves to the kids through the window. And it was so reminiscent it reminded me of the opening sequence in Superman where he's running next to the train. And you get the little girl who we find out later was like Lois Lane or whatever. And he waves to her. And I'm like, that's a nice little homage right there.
Yeah, that's true.
The flying sequences are a little dated. They're a little cartoonish. But
very green screeny kind of, effects going on.
But that's fine. That's part of the time. It's what it was.
Now, we were talking about, having suspension of disbelief with the Hulk's pants staying up.
Right?
I can't see him wearing this without like his ass being revealed because the rocket
Burns.
burns off his
Yeah.
pants.
Yeah, I don't really think that they thought that through. But he has that fantastic aviator leather jacket with the flap on the front. It's such a great iconic look. It really is solid.
And I did read that Toy Biz had the license to make all the action. I would have loved to have seen, a 12-inch Rocketeer action figure. That would have been a nice addition to any collection.
Yeah, I don't remember there being any product. I mean,
well, the movie just didn't warrant it. I guess the success of the movie, I should say, didn't warrant it.
Yeah, there's some stuff out there. I have it's like a storybook actually drawn by Neil Adams with a cassette. The Adventures. It's not like they ever went back and revisited this. They didn't, there was no sequel. The one thing we haven't talked about yet is Joe Johnston, who is the director.
Yeah, talk about a connection with Captain America.
Yes, he actually directed the original Captain America First Avenger. But he got his start as a storyboard artist with George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic. And Joe Johnston is known as the father of Boba Fett.
Oh,
he not only designed the final look of Boba Fett, but he also designed Yoda and the Iron Giant. And this guy is big in the world of ILM and Star Wars. So for him to go from basically behind the camera to in charge of behind the camera is really nice.
I didn't know that, but just looking at the guy's resume of what else he directed would have put him on the map. Jumanji looks like he did. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Jurassic Park 3, which is a highlight of the series for me personally.
Yeah.
I think that's a much maligned Jurassic Park. Yeah, this guy's got creds.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
And James Horner's score for that on top of it. So...
And what else we haven't spoken about is this dog-themed diner that they frequent.
This is straight out of the comics, but it is based on a real place in the Real Dog Cafe, which is shaped like a bulldog, was built in 1928 on West Washington Boulevard.
So one exists in reality?
Yeah, I think it was destroyed in the 70s by weather, but a replica has been part of the streetscape in the Peterson Automotive Museum since it opened in 1994.
Oh.
I did see also that there was supposed to be a Roger Rabbit cartoon attached to this at the beginning, but it was never made.
Oh.
So that would have been even more in line with the 1938 serial kind of feel to it.
Yeah. Talking about the retro design of the Rocketeer itself, there's a great anything goes type club scene.
Oh, the scene. What is it?
I forget what the name of the club is, but it's just that the sets are beautiful, of course.
Yeah, I actually thought I saw Indiana Jones and Willie in there at one point.
It would have been great if Kate Capshaw was the actual singer here in the club.
Anything goes. South Seas Club.
Oh, okay.
And we get a W.C. Fields cameo.
My little chickadee.
Yeah, he calls her the dish. Yeah, you're the dish, eh? But then Cliff makes a scene at the nightclub. And that's a little, again, like you said, it's, he's getting flown around on wires and some questionable blue screen, but he's on the loose. And then what does Neville do? He drugs and kidnaps our heroine.
Yeah, well, he's got leverage there. Right now, he knows definitely that Cliff has the backpack.
Yeah. But he does admit to her that, yes, he not only is a Nazi, but he's a spy saboteur and a fascist.
He has got a full-on Young Frankenstein hidden room in his mansion.
Just for such occasions.
Put the candle back.
Well, we have this really great end sequence with, okay, is it a blimp? Is it a Zeppelin? Or is it a dirigible?
Is it a dirigible?
Discuss. Yes. Yeah.
The humanity of this last scene.
Well, the fire and blimps don't go well.
Wait a second now.
Wait, when was Hindenburg? Hindenburg was like 1930.
Okay, Are they supposed to be inconspicuous in this blimp?
Yeah, because this blimp
that
just comes
has
out
a
of nowhere
huge
with a
swastika.
giant swastika. It's like, pay no attention to the tail fin. It's like, who painted that? Like, all right, boys, we're going all in on this. But then we got the feds versus the mob versus Nazis. He's up there. He's trying to save the girl. He's trying to fight Neville. The one thing I did read is that they actually designed what they called a shaky cam. So that whole sequence, when they're inside the livable space of the blimp, was shot with the shaky cam to make it feel like it was unsettled, like it was going to fall apart at any minute. And they said it was so distracting in the screenings that they went back and fixed it.
Really?
So you can actually, they stabilized it for the screens.
Well, what's great is that there's a fight scene on the top of the blimp with the Dick Tracy prune face guy who ties himself to the blimp. He thinks he's, a genius by doing this.
Yeah,
so he can't fall.
So which in theory is smart until it blows up.
No, the Rocketeer
fire.
knocks him off and he swings down and smashes through.
It's chaos. But we do find out the Hollywood land signed what really happened to it.
Yeah, the blimp crashed into the land part. So now it's just Hollywood.
It's Hollywood, yeah.
But I really love that that animated sequence, that propaganda film of all the Rocketeers in the German army.
Yes, yeah, that's straight up. Yeah, that's Nazi propaganda because that's what they want to do with this thing. They want to mobilize these troops. They want to make them aerial. Yeah, they can just devastation across the entire planet. It's like, all right, I want to see that movie because we do end up with the blueprints at the end. We do have them, so we can build another one. Peavy's like, I can build another one. We do get a Spruce Goose cameo. A little Easter egg.
Howard Hughes, and he makes that inside joke. Oh, it can fly.
Which is so inside, because if you don't know what the Spruce Goose is, you're just
this is before Leo DiCaprio and The Aviator, so
that is true. Yeah. But I do like the fact that it's Howard freaking Hughes who saves him in this silly little aerocopter. He is like Tony Stark. They could have done a lot with this, and I'm sure in the comics, like I said, apparently in the comic books, it was Doc Savage who created this backpack. But here it's Howard Hughes. But I love the fact that it could have been Howard Hughes and that he could have like this whole cadre of inventions that Cliff and Peavy could use.
Maybe that's where they would have went if they ever made the planned trilogy that would have come from.
Was it a planned trilogy?
That's what I was reading. Yeah, that they were hoping to do 2 more.
Obviously, all the big names of the time were considered for this role. Everyone from Kevin Costner to Matthew Modine. I guess the studio actually wanted Johnny Depp long before Pirates.
Yeah, and he was, I think, almost, I don't know if he had a scheduling conflict or something, but I think out of all those names, he was the closest to actually playing the Rocketeer. But Joe Johnston just had it stuck in his craw that he wanted Billy Campbell.
Listen, that's fine. I think he's suitable. Yeah. I like him. Vincent D'Onofrio turned down the role. Was that the same year he did? No. I think it was 93 Adventures in Babysitting. I did read also that Frank Darabont had some uncredited work in the screenplay. And he's a pretty big name in the Spielberg, Lucas world. Indiana Jones.
So at the very end, they all celebrate their victory over the Nazis in the dog diner. And Howard Hughes delivers them a new plane for their show. He does take the jetpack back from them. He doesn't let them keep that. No. But he delivers them a new plane so they can make it to the Nationals. What are they going to go and sing Bohemian Rhapsody like the Glee? Is that the Nationals that they're talking about?
Maybe. I do find it interesting that Neville Sinclair really is based on Errol Flynn. And apparently somebody wrote a biography that claims that Flynn was a spy for the Nazis. That
accused him. I think that was debunked, though.
But it's out there. So David Niven said this is unequivocally true. And the writer's like, well, I admit I have no evidence saying I don't have a document that says A, B, C, D, and E. Errol Flynn was a Nazi agent, but I have pieced together a mosaic that proves that he is. That's defamatory. Wow. Anyways, so it's enjoyable. I was very happy. It's on Disney Plus. It's out there.
It is on Disney Plus. Now, of course, we said that there was a planned trilogy which never came to be because it was not a box office hit, unfortunately. The budget was in the realm of $40 million. It made 46, so didn't quite cover all costs, I'm sure, when you figure in advertising and stuff. It opened to such low numbers in America that they got nervous, did Disney. And when it opened in Europe, they changed the Art Deco look of the poster, which is a very cool
It's a
poster,
very nice poster art, yeah.
and made it more of like a Star Warsy kind of a thing that has the whole cast there,
Yeah,
like your
sure.
Drew Struzan kind of a
Yeah,
poster.
you gotta sell it. Yeah, get people in their seats before they realize it's not that movie.
And they got nervous that the Walt Disney banner was throwing the target audience off, so they changed that to Touchstone when it was released overseas. Didn't quite
Interesting.
work that well. Although I think it is very well regarded over in the UK in terms of,
Well, they're fighting
popularity.
Nazis. All right, sure. You gonna kick some Nazi butt? All right, we're in.
There is a Rocketeer outfit that is on display at Planet Hollywood in Orlando.
There's still Planet Hollywoods?
There's still Planet Hollywood. It was there when we just went.
Is that the round one? Is that the
It's the round one, yeah.
Oh, I was there in 96, 94, or 95. Yeah,
I can't tell you the
somewhere
last time I was actually inside the Planet Hollywood, but it's there.
in there. Yeah. They actually had some cool stuff when I was there. I think there was an X-Wing and a TIE fighter
Oh,
as well. And I feel like there was an alien prop. Might have been the load lifter. Aliens. It's been a while. It's been a very long time. It was pre cameras on your phone, so it wasn't like I took a lot of pictures.
Rocketeer got mixed reviews when it was released.
No, did it get Maslined?
It was Maslined.
Oh, of course.
Let's see. What does Miss Maslin say about the Rocketeer? A benign adventure that has attractive stars, elaborate gimmicks, and nice production values. Everything it needs except a personality of its own.
Wow. Jenna Maslin, I say to you, show me your personality.
Yes. Roger Ebert liked the film.
Hey, Roger.
Let's see. He cited the visual effects as state-of-the-art, but described them lovingly as being akin to what you see in the Flash Gordon serials, which is a fair assessment. I think that's what they were going for, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah. So it is a cult favorite, it could be said. And the fact that it didn't do well initially probably just raises its cult cachet to those out there that, glom on to such things. It's a little bland. It's a little milquetoast. So some of my fears when I said no to seeing this when it first came out in theaters were well-founded, but that gives it its charm. And yeah, I'm surprised that this guy never went on, Billy Campbell, I mean, to do much else. Although I will give him marks because the following year he was Quincy, who was the cowboy in Bram Stoker's Dracula. So he's one of the three guys at the end with Keanu Reeves that goes and chases Dracula with Van Helsing.
Oh, wow. That's a deep cut.
Yeah, it's ripe there for discovery on Disney Plus, as we just said. Yep. I'm going to give this 3.25 buckets out of 5.
I was at 3.25, but I think I talked myself up to 3.5.
3.5.
I did enjoy it. It's like you said, there's a certain level of charm to it. It is dated.
It's a little talky. It's a little on the talky side.
Yeah, and like I said, Cliff, like he's talking to Jenny like she's like, why you want to have aspirations? So just follow me around and fawn over me, and we're good. But again, maybe in 1938, that was what was expected of your girl, the dame, the dish. But the fact that Joe Johnston directed this, James Horner, like you said, the helmet is iconic, and it's solid. This is a movie I think could stand for a reboot.
It did get rebooted, interestingly enough, on the Disney Channel as an animated show. Did you watch this when it was on?
No, I've never seen it. I did read about it. I don't know if they stayed true. Was it more like cartoony? Was that
no? It was like a little girl was the focus of it. I never saw it. I just was reading what the show was about. It only lasted one season, but it was the great granddaughter of the character of Cliff.
Oh, so it would have been more in modern times.
Yes, it was in set in modern
I
times.
wonder if that's on
Yeah.
Disney Plus.
And Billy Campbell provided one of the voices.
He's a cartoon. He can live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 120 years old. Anyways, so there you go. The Rocketeer. It's a nice little pairing.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It's fun. I can't believe you've never seen it.
I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
It's funny because out of all those non-Marvel, non-DC movies of the 90s, the superhero movies, I think this was the only one that I hadn't seen.
So you sat through the Phantom.
I sat through the Phantom in the theater.
Oh, boy. Well, we were just desperate. We wanted to see superheroes.
Yeah.
Now we have a glut of them. Now you're like, oh, another superhero movie? Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll do the Phantom or the Shadow or Dick Tracy.
Out of those three, Dick Tracy, I think would be fun.
It was a rarity back then, a superhero movie.
That character was old by then.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was like something ripped out of the Marvel comics from 10 years. That was when Madonna was still top of the world. And especially, I don't remember who directed that, but yeah, the special effects.
I think Warren Beatty directed that.
Did he? Yeah, I think you're right. I think you are correct. Yeah. But now they leaned right into that comic book aesthetic.
Like the colors in that?
Yeah,
Amazing.
sure. The trench coats and the makeup and the special effects. So yeah, we'll get there one day.
All right. So what else did we do?
I did nothing. I got nothing. I got nothing for this week. Back-to-back storms, working overtime.
Like I said at the onset of the show, I did watch Long Legs.
Yes.
Last night. I'm not going to discuss it much.
Now that is on what?
It just appeared on Hulu, and funnily enough, because now that Hulu and ESPN and Disney Plus are available in a package together, you can also watch it via Disney Plus. So they're showing relatively hardcore horror stuff now on Disney Plus. Yeah. A Nicolas Cage vehicle, you might want to call it. Although I don't know if I would go as far to say it's a Nicolas Cage movie.
Just the fact that he's in it. Well, his name's up there on the marquee.
His name is up there, although unrecognizable. You know, if you didn't know that this was him, I'd think it was Nicolas Cage.
That's awesome. I like him stretching his legs, his long legs.
One of these days we'll cover it. We'll cover it.
Fair enough.
I did see that Yellow Jackets season 3 is premiering now.
Yeah, I know. I'm very distraught because I have yet to watch season 2.
I know.
Netflix only has season 1. I can't watch it. Give me season 2.
Oh, and let me just mention this as well for what else that we did. I watched an old school 1955 black and white British science fiction film called The Quatermass Experiment.
Quatermass?
Quatermass. Now, being like a genre fan, ever since I was a kid, I'd often get like a big tome like the Great Book of Movie Monsters, and it would be an A to Z of various famous movie monsters. And this Quatermass would always be in there.
Huh.
I always read it as Quartermass, but in this movie they actually pronounce it as Quatermass. So it's a 1955, before its time. It's about an experimental rocket that's shot into space with 3 astronauts that comes crashing back down.
And they all have fantastic powers.
They open it up. 2 of them are dead, and one seems to be taken over by some kind of external force. So there's so many movies that have taken this basic plot setup since then, and he mutates slowly into like an alien. So it's more of a horror movie than it is a sci-fi movie. And I think really ahead of its time, it's really goes into David Cronenberg body horror territory.
Oh boy.
During a time where you wouldn't expect these types of things to be made. And as a matter of fact, it got an X certificate by the British censors when it was released.
Oh,
and
it's like
this is before X was like associated with pornography.
Right.
It was X because it was like disturbing, and they leaned into it because the Quatermass Experiment, it's not EX, it's just X. They were embracing the X certificate that they got in England.
You're gonna go for it.
And when it was released here, obviously nobody cared. It was rated X.
It probably ran on 4 o'clock movie.
Yeah, it was just because of like weird stuff like that it was going on, like the guy's growing like a mutated hand and stuff like that.
Well, for the time,
yeah,
very unsettling.
But I recommend it. Anybody out?
Okay.
It's on Prime. The Quatermass Experiment.
Yeah, I have to check it out.
All right. So what are we doing next time? Speaking of experiments,
are we going Mickey 17? Are we actually doing this?
Is
Robert
this now
Pattinson?
Mickey 17 is like Stitch? He's got a number and he's experiment number 17.
626. 626, Stitch.
Yeah, not exactly a family-friendly movie though. I'm seeing that this is R-rated for violence, for excessive language, for sexual content, all the good things.
Oh my.
Are in
Robert
this
Pattinson,
movie.
man. He's going all in.
Yeah.
I do like I know this guy got typecast with Twilight and coming out of Tenet right before he was already cast as Batman, but the movie had not dropped yet. And after seeing that movie, I'm like, all right, I'm in with this guy. And now he's just doing whatever he wants, and I give him credit for that.
Yeah,
this looks very unsettling. Bong Joon-ho, and it looks wacky.
And that you'll know that name, Bong Joon-ho. Well, if you don't know his name, you'll know Parasite. Best Picture.
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, director of Parasite, The Host.
Yes. Well, there you go.
Snowpiercer is another one. And speaking of Snowpiercer,
I think that's what we're gonna pair it with.
Absolutely. So it's a
All
Bong
aboard.
Joon-ho double feature.
Well, listen, we just got done talking about how much we miss Chris Evans, so let's bring him back in.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer.
We could have gone Multiplicity with Michael Keaton.
Oh, we could have. That would have been good. It's been a very long time since I've seen that.
This seems more fun to me.
Yeah, no, because they actually, again, Jennifer Connelly, they made a TV show out of Snowpiercer with Jennifer Connelly.
I tried watching that. I couldn't hang with it, though.
I just don't see the premise. It's not like The Love Boat where every week you have a different guest star, right? It's a train that doesn't stop moving. So you've got a
this
captain.
Week on Snowpiercer,
Right.
Charo.
Charo. Oh, Gucci. Milton Berle. So Snowpiercer and Mickey 17.
Yes.
Well, I guess I will not be bringing my kids to Mickey 17. Then that's going to be a naughty movie. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, unless you want some awkward.
Yeah, no, I can barely sit with my friend Frank at some of these movies. Move a seat down so we're not next to each other. So, but yeah, I'm excited. This Mickey 17 looks like something different. And that you just listed off all these Bong Joon-ho movies, and it's just like, the guy's again, he's whatever. I'm not being pigeonholed in a certain genre. I'm gonna do whatever I want. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Something
different. This should be good. This should be really good.
Who knows? We'll show back up in 2 weeks and be like, well, this sucked. It was like, well, let's talk about Snowpiercer then. All right. Go check out Brave New World. If you haven't seen it, why are you listening to this?
I know. we are so firmly on this MCU bandwagon. It's not funny, but I think I can say.
Did you get your check? Did you get your paychecks yet?
That's what Anthony Mackie says after every scene. After the director says cut, he says cut the check. That's his thing.
Give me the money.
But I think if a movie sucked, I did like Quantumania. You didn't. So there are times when a movie deserves to be called out, we've called it out.
Yeah.
That's not this movie. That's not this movie.
No, we're not. No, I'm not banging the drum on something that I don't believe in. I genuinely walked away entertained. I liked it.
Yes.
So I don't know what your expectations are, but that's what we just laid out is exactly what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. If you want 2 hours of Falcon and the Hulk, you're not getting that.
You'll get 10 minutes.
You're getting a lot of angry Harrison Ford.
You're getting
he's having fun. He's having fun.
Yeah, and if you loved Winter Soldier again, then go see this. Do yourself a favor. Go see
it. It is not Winter Soldier, but it is close to it.
Yeah.
It's in the vein.
And they dialed back on the runtime, so you will be out of the theater once the movie starts. Anyway, you'll be out of the theater in less than 2 hours.
Whatever time your movie starts, just show up 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
and you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yep.
Get your seats in advance. Boom.
There you have it.
Get your Angry Hulk popcorn bucket and have a blast.
All right. So with that, until next time.
Yes. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand.
The director's probably like off camera. Hey, what was it like playing Han Solo?
Right. What was Chewbacca's home planet name? All right, stop getting angry. Give that man a Snickers bar.